Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 7. So Module 7 is our first module dealing with poetry. Poetry we read differently from short stories, so those of you who are not as familiar with poems may find that you have to kind of approach the reading assignments a little bit differently. One of the things that you want to remember is that poems are best read when you can hear them also. There is often a play on words that you hear with the sound of the words as well as how it's written on the page. And so you might consider reading these poems out loud or having someone read them to you or finding YouTube audio recordings of someone reading these poems. Poetry has a lot more meaning than short stories, and one of the reasons is because poets often spend a lot of time really thinking about how the words in the line go together. And so while a poem might be shorter, it might actually take you a little bit longer to read because you want to be thinking about why they put those particular words in the poem. Is there any meaning behind that particular word or the line of poetry? What are they trying to say? Sometimes the poem will be a little bit vague as you read through it and kind of maybe involves some figures of speech or imagery or something, so not very concrete, but then the title of the poem will tell you what you're supposed to think of the poem. So you can kind of play with that a little bit. Some of our poems will be very weird and they'll be difficult to get through, and some of them will be very straightforward, and the author will just kind of tell you what you're supposed to be thinking about, or the meaning behind it will be in the poem. And so some students find them to be a little bit more challenging to read. So the Module 7 is just kind of a little bit of an introduction to some of the terminology. Obviously, we went over poetry way back in the overview section of the class, but now we're getting into a lot more terminology that we can use. So you have the first 5 chapters here. I know you'll be paying attention to the page numbers because there's the sections of the chapter that discuss the terminology a little longer than the short story chapters, but there's a lot of examples in them, so you want to be reading the examples in there as well. And keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of terms. You may want to keep a Word document or something to help you remember them, particularly for things like imagery and figures of speech. There's going to be a lot of them, and some words that you may not be familiar with, and just you're like understanding how and why they're used, maybe a little bit more of a challenge. We also won't have a lot of the things that we can look for in a short story that a lot of students are familiar with, like character, setting, plot, that kind of thing. They don't often show up in poetry, at least not the same way. And so that's just something to kind of keep in mind, is sometimes that can be a lot more of a challenge to read them. I got a few resources here. I'll probably add some more. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many videos, but there's lots of stuff out there that you can use as resources. And then the quiz for this unit. I've got it divided into 2 quizzes, the readings for the poems. Just in general, we'll do 2 quizzes like we did for short stories, and they're divided by chapter. And so in this reading, or in this quiz, we're just covering those first 5 chapters, and then we'll have another 5 chapters for the Module 8 readings quiz, and then the exam will cover all 10 chapters, similar questions. So you'll get those again when you take the exam. The other assignment in this module, so the writing assignment, is to do a wiki. This wiki assignment is going to be drastically different from other things that you've done in this class and maybe in other classes. And so paying attention to the instructions are really important. It's actually not as complicated as it looks, but basically I want you to be thinking about, like, this is a collaborative project similar to a discussion board, but instead of everyone like posting under a discussion board post, you are creating a page together. So think of this like Wikipedia. Wikipedia works where a page is created And then you can have different content creators go in and make edits or add to it, add sources to it, that kind of thing. And so your task will be to choose some of the pages. You'll choose at least 3 pages that have been created for you already. And you can look at it in the modules list. You can see all the pages. And all you have to do is click on the page that you're interested in. So you can see that some of them are about terms. Some of them are about people, and some of them are about eras, I guess, just time periods related to and types of poems. Romanticism, realism, postmodernism, you may have also heard of those terminology and ideas within like an art class or something. So let's say you're interested in romanticism. You click on that, and I need to delete all the stuff that the students did last semester, apparently. But you'll click on it, and the pages, I think I deleted the first page. There should be nothing there, unless somebody from the class has already gone through there. That was a blank. So when you click on it, it'll be blank, and then you should have the option to edit it. So just like you would go in and edit anything that you post, you have all of the text information. What you're going to do is find 2 sources about that topic, and you're going to post the sources and just a little bit of information about them. So if you want to search for romanticism and poetry and just do a Google search, you can find some, like Poetry Foundation would be a great resource because that is a really good, it's a .org website, and it's got lots of great information about it. You can see that the information is pretty short here. It's got a bunch of links to different things. So you may want to, this is just the poetic terms that you can use. But if you decide you want to use this, you would copy it, you would paste it in there, and then you would provide a paragraph about that source, and then you would put your second source underneath, and then after that point you would put contributed by and your name after that. So then I know that that's what you contributed. I can go in, there's a special way that I can go in and see what people actually added, but it's much easier if you just put your name on there with it. Then I don't have to go in and kind of figure out what student did what thing. The other thing that make sure that you don't do is accidentally delete other people's stuff. So when you go into edit, make sure that you don't like take away everything that was already there, because multiple students can, every student can edit your page. Every student can edit every page. So just kind of keep that in mind. You may want to go in and just put your name in there. If you have a particular topic that you want to cover, or that you want to find sources for, you may want to go in and put your name in there as a placeholder. That way other students know that you plan to contribute sources, or put the source in there, because I don't want doubles of sources. So you could just copy and paste, the URL or something, and then go back in and write the paragraph. Now, one of the things to remember is that this is not going to take it off the to-do list in Canvas. The assignment itself is right here, and putting it on the wiki page does not take it off your to-do list. So it's going to be there until I go in and grade these. It may be in there for a little while, and it may show up as a 0 or something. So I'll go in and take out all the zeros once the due date has passed. That's the only disadvantage of doing it like this. It's a great collaborative tool, but it doesn't link up with the assignment itself, and so the points and everything in the grade book. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have any questions, a little bit confusing assignments, if you have questions, definitely feel free to email me. Just don't wait until the last minute, the last day of the unit or something. Make sure that you are keeping on track on top of this assignment. It is a little bit more confusing. So hopefully you're having a great week. Send me an email if you have any issues.